Guys, I'm gonna be 100% with you. I had a scripted plan for this whole video for the day the DJI Action 5 Pro gets launched, and probably like a lot of the other videos you're gonna see on launch day today. And after testing it, DJI with this camera is in such a different league than everything else on the market. I had to throw all the plans out. And what sucks is, yes, this video is sponsored. That's how I got the camera early, and that's how I'm able to make this video for you guys today on launch day. And I totally get that's gonna make a lot of you guys question what I'm saying. I'm the same way when I watch other sponsored content, so I'm totally there with you. But look, the game is over for what action camera should I get for motorcyclists, or hell, in the auto space in general. It's just that much better. But you know what? I'm gonna spend the rest of the video showing you guys what it can do and why it has that Pro in the title, and you can make a decision for yourself. This stuff is crazy what they put into this camera.
Okay, so let's get things started by going over what they sent me. I ended up getting the Action 5 Pro Adventure combo, which comes with the camera, selfie stick, battery case, which I love, and 3 of their 1950 mAh batteries. I'll end up showing you guys later in the video, but having 3 of these batteries for this camera will last you so incredibly long, it's silly. For audio options, I have the mic adapter for plugging a mic directly into the camera, and they also sent out their newest mic 2. This is going to play a huge role later in the video. As far as mounting options go, they sent out their chest mount, handlebar clamp, and wrist strap, as well as a really cool chin mount clamp. This thing gives me a ton of ideas on how I can use it. Then finally, they sent out their GPS remote as well as a set of ND filters.
So guys, DJI decided to put Pro in the title of this camera, and that should make us assume that it's capable of some serious stuff. So let's go over if this camera is a Pro camera and what makes it that. First off, we've got a new sensor in this camera that apparently is capable of 13.5 stops of dynamic range. Do you guys have any idea how much that is?
Do you know how much dynamic range our camera car gets? Yeah, this thing that gets this footage? 13. It gets 13 stops of dynamic range. Can you imagine how much closer we're gonna be able to have our footage look to our camera car with this on our helmet? It's gonna be nuts.
All right guys, the next Pro feature on the Action 5 Pro is going to be the chip that it has on board that's gonna do 2 things. One, that chip runs more energy efficient, and it allows for the output of higher files. This combination of a more energy efficient chip with the 1950 batteries that this thing runs on now apparently gives this a runtime of 4 hours, which would be absolutely insane, but don't worry, we'll get to testing that later in the video. Next up is the screen upgrades. This camera is actually the first action camera ever with dual OLED screens, so we should see a definite increase in screen quality both on the front and the back. Finally, we have a feature that I'm very excited about, and that is 47 gigabytes of built-in storage. That means you can literally film with this camera if you have no SD card installed on it. Okay, these have all been some pretty cool, impressive specs, but how do they translate to me using this while I ride my motorcycle? Let's go find out. All right, so you guys know the first test I had to do with this camera was with my helmet camera setup. Now, luckily, the magnetic mount that my Action 4 uses is the exact same mount that the Action 5 Pro uses, so to swap it out, all I had to do was click it on. So super simple there. Now, I know for a lot of us guys that are doing helmet camera setups, the main thing we want to know is the camera wide enough to get the shot we want with all of our handlebars? Now, the Action 5 Pro has 3 different fields of view, and it has 3 different stabilizations for each of those. So we have standard, we have wide, and we have ultra wide, and then for the stabilizations, we have off, rock steady, and rock steady plus.
Standard mode also gets you horizon lock. Now, I tested all of these modes and I just put them side by side so you guys can judge for yourself. Other than wishing I'd angled the camera down just a little bit, after looking closely at everything you guys are seeing, I'll definitely be using ultra wide with the rock steady stabilization. I think that's the sweet spot for motorcycle riding.
Now, to get that cool motion blur to make it look like you're actually going quick on your motorcycle, you're going to need a set of ND filters. I did a quick test testing out the ND8, the ND16, and the ND32.
Looking at this footage, the ND filters all seem to be of really good quality, and you'll just need to use the right one for your lighting situation. I did initially have some trouble getting the ND filters on, but then I realized that you can't have the ND filter on if you have this little rubber ring around the lens. Fun fact, you can just pull that off. The ND filters fit really snug on there, so I'm not worried about them coming off. They also seem to be the exact same ND filters as the ones I was using on the Action 4, so if you've already got ND filters for the Action 4, you don't need to get any more.
Finally, and this is the biggest deal, guys, is audio. Now, I showed you guys DJI still offers the mic adapter if you want to plug your mic directly into the camera. But if you're like me and you really dig wireless audio, check this out. In my last helmet setup video, I showed you guys I had a DJI Mic 2 connected to my Action 4, right? Well, now with the Action 5 Pro, you can connect two Mic 2s to the camera. That means I can still have my Mic 2 inside of my helmet getting my audio, but now with no extra gear, I can connect a second Mic 2 and use it for exhaust audio like my previous camera setup that I used to use. The Mic 2s can also be set up to record 32-bit float audio, meaning it'll sound good regardless of how loud your bike is, and they start recording internally when you click the record button on the camera, so there's no running back and forth to get these recording. Let me show you guys how you can sound with these.
Right now, you guys are hearing me through a Mic 2 in the front of my helmet, and my voice is pretty clear, right? Now let me crank the bike up. Okay, so now you can kind of hear the motorcycle, but still, my voice is the main thing you're hearing, right? And guys, this is what the Action 5 Pro sounds like with one mic. Obviously, when I'm really getting on it, you guys can hear the motorcycle pretty well. But at a point like this, while we're just cruising, you can barely hear the exhaust of the bike, but you can hear me clearly. Now, this option is totally fine. Like, that's what I've been using for the last couple months, and I've honestly been pretty happy with it. The only thing that sucks about it is I can't really control anything with the exhaust. But if you give me a camera that can connect two mics, then we can start having a really good time with the exhaust audio on our bikes. So let me show you guys what that's all about. Now, if I take this second Mic 2 that I've already connected to the camera and I place it closer to that exhaust, on my MT10 here, I'm going to put it underneath the seat with a little microfiber towel. That's going to get this mic way closer to the exhaust and make it sound way better. Side note, I'm still working on the best placement for this exhaust, so if you guys are interested, let me know and like the video, and I'll go try to figure out the best placements for these microphones on different bikes, and I'll be able to make a video for you guys with the absolute best setup. Now, when we have the two mics connected, the entire game has changed in a couple ways. One, in regular riding footage like this, we have my microphone for getting good quality sound out of my mouth, but then we have a microphone down there close to the exhaust. So one, we get a richer, fuller sound of the exhaust on the bike, but we also can modulate how much of that exhaust we use. So we can do a lot of it, where you can barely hear me. We can do a medium amount of it, or we could just, pipe it in as much as we need. The point is we have control. One of the problems I have when I'm out getting riding footage is with my microphone inside my helmet, you guys can typically hear me breathe. I mean, the microphone's right in front of my mouth, so I would hope you'd be able to hear me breathe. But if I just want to get riding footage, that breathing kind of messes up the audio. Having the second mic now allows me to literally just cut to the audio underneath my seat that's getting the good engine noise, and now I have phenomenal audio of me riding the bike with no annoying breathing. For me, that's probably the bigger deal, because my breathing would always ruin so many shots, dude. Not that I don't want to breathing, but come on. I can't sit here and not breathe just to get good audio. I have limits for making the quality videos that I do for you guys. Oh, that sounds so much better. Oh my God.
Guys, this feature is huge for so many people. For riders, you can have a microphone directly dedicated to your voice and an entirely separate microphone directly dedicated to the exhaust of your motorcycle. Heck, an auto channel could do the exact same thing. You could take your Action 5 Pro and do an interview with somebody, and you could both have your own separate audio sources. This is absolutely insane, and if I'm gonna be honest, if the new camera would have only had this feature alone, it would have been worth the upgrade, at least to me. Alrighty guys, let's talk about my second favorite feature on this camera, and that is the supposed battery life. Now, when I read the spec sheet and I saw 4 hours on one of these batteries, I thought the exact same thing you're thinking to yourself right now. Total BS, there's no way. So, first thing I did with this camera when I got it was I charged it up fully and I set it to record until I forgot about it.
My first test, I was filming in 4K 24 while we went to get some work done on the bike. I just attached the Action 5 Pro to the camera we were already using to film, and I just turned the camera on and started recording, and I was just gonna let it roll until it died. And to my surprise, I actually got 3 hours and 33 minutes without changing any settings for screen brightness or anything.
I gotta tell you guys, seeing these numbers of battery life absolutely shocked me. I mean, I could have gone in with the settings and changed the screen brightness and the screen turn-off time to really eke out more battery life, but 3.5 hours is absolutely insane. That means with the adventure combo that I got with 3 batteries, I would have 10.5 hours of filming time. I would run out of SD card space before I ran out of batteries. This is going to be so fantastic for doing those really long trips because I don't have to worry about batteries ever.
After the 4K test that blew me away, I started getting curious of how much time it would actually record if I changed it to something like 1080p. So I left all the settings the same and I just changed the resolution from 4K to 1080, and I put the camera in the window of my office and I let it roll. Now, to be honest, I totally forgot about it because it lasted so long, but when I downloaded the files, it had recorded for 250 minutes, which is actually over the 4-hour time that they claim by 10 minutes.
Guys, these 1950 batteries are crazy, and yes, I did test them in my DJI Action 4, and they do work, so they'd be a fantastic upgrade if you have one of those cameras. Guys, we are not far along from when I was doing my first rides with a GoPro and the battery would barely last long enough to get through my 45-minute route, to now, with this camera and this battery, we are getting 4+ hours of filming. This is absolutely insane.
So guys, when it comes to low light mode with the 5 Pro, you've got a couple options. Now, the first option is you just shoot in the regular mode. Now, typically it'll let the ISO go up to whatever it wants to brighten the footage up. But what I have found works best is I like to cap my ISO at 3200 and it won't go above that. But I have found that this camera does a really good job with noise canceling at 3200, and that looks as close as I can get it to what my eye is actually seeing. So guys, if you look around this shot, no, the shot is not going to be as bright as it otherwise could be. Like, I could just not cap my ISO out and I could let the ISO go up really high. But my whole point that I wanted to have with this shot is to have something that looked really clean. So if you guys notice in all the dark areas, I can't see, at least on my computer when I look at this footage, I can't see any noise or any grain or anything like that. So the point of this setup is to get nighttime footage that matches what I can see with my own eyes and get something very clean. So that's what I want you guys to focus on, not necessarily the brightness. I could go up to 3 times brighter than what the camera is set to right now, but I'm wanting a clean night shot, and I think that's what I've got in this one. The second option is a brand new mode for the 5 Pro, and that is called Super Night. What they're doing, based on the settings that I'm looking at, is in that mode only, they're allowing the camera to crank the ISO up to 51,200, and then using that new sensor and chip, they're actually doing noise reduction on a very noisy footage if it wasn't getting that noise reduction done to it. So guys, if you're looking for more light in your shot, Super Night mode is definitely the way to go. As you guys can see, we're in the same area, and the amount of light that is on here is incredibly different. From the testing I've done, I've noticed the difference in the lighting the most, like in the sky, which is kind of weird. I mean, it's nighttime, right? But it seems like there's a lot more light in the sky, and you can just see all types of more detail. Now, there is a negative to this mode, and that negative is that you cannot shoot in ultra wide. So if you guys are looking at the shot right here, you'll probably notice that it's cropped in a little more than the ultra wide setting that I had on the regular video mode. So that kind of sucks. And I also found out that depending on the area you're in, like we're in a really dark area now, we don't have as many lights around, but with the footage being ISO cranked all the way up, and then using noise reduction to clean it up, I noticed there's not as much fine detail in this setting. It's cool that you can see more stuff, but the stuff you see just isn't quite as sharp as the other settings. So that's why I like having two options, because there are times where I definitely want to just be able to see more. That's what this mode would give me. And then when I don't need to be in like just pitch black settings, then I can use the regular setting where I just cap my ISO out. At the end of the day, guys, after doing all of this testing on these two modes, I think both modes have totally different user cases. I generally like using this mode, which is 4K 24 with my ISO capped out at 3200 ISO. I love the cleanness of this look. And as long as there's a little bit of light around, as you guys can see, like this road has nothing but dim street lights over there, but you guys can still see stuff and it looks really clean. I think I prefer this for the majority of the time. And then if I'm ever in a situation where there is like literally no light at all, that's when I think I would find myself using the super night mode. I just love how clean my nighttime footage can look. All right, for shits and gigs, this is super night mode.
All right, guys, so let's check out the views we can get from the accessories that they sent out.
My favorite is probably this new helmet chin mount clip. This is amazing. It's super strong and great for you guys that want to motovlog but don't really want to attach anything to your helmet. Especially if you have something like a track helmet where you aren't able to have things on the outside. You could just use this when you aren't at the track, obviously, for motovlogging, and then when you don't want to record anymore, you could just pull it off of your helmet and throw it in your book bag. I love this thing and it works really well. Next is the one I'll probably use the most, and that's the bar clamp. I love a good look back shot, and this thing works amazing as long as you have handlebars on your bike. It also keeps your camera super stable. The chest mount isn't something I use a ton, but the more I play around with riding off-road, I see more and more use out of it. The mechanism to click it on and off is really nice, and it's cool to be able to mount it to the front or the back pretty quickly. That can get a really cool shot of your buddies riding behind you. I played around with the wrist strap in the garage for a bit just to see how the shot looked. I like the ability to use these shots for maybe stuff working on your bike or showing how to use your clutch or your brake, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of these angles, but it's cool to have that new perspective if I ever find myself needing it.
All right, guys, let's talk about these new OLED screens. First off, quality-wise, they look fantastic, and if you look at the back, you actually have a larger rear screen.
This is really nice for seeing your shots, but also with the extra screen real estate, I found that I can somehow get through the menus a lot easier. Now, menus-wise, everything is similar to the Action 4, which I'm happy about. Of all the companies, DJI has my favorite menus. They're just super easy to navigate, and I never find myself wondering where a setting is.
One setting that I would like to change on the front-facing screen is the fact that with this little square, it doesn't show me the full shot. So in this camera, it looks like I'm shooting a square. But if we cut to the Action 5, it's much wider. So from my view looking at that right now, it looks like the screen ends about where my hand is. As you guys can see in that shot, it goes actually a little more wide than that. So I just want to see my entire screen so I can frame everything up correctly. Literally just a setting in the menu of show full screen. That would be cool, and wish I could have it in a future setting or maybe a firmware upgrade.
A new feature that I guess they can do because of these new OLED style screens is their always on display feature. This gives you the option for what your camera can show after it's been recording for a while. You can either do this red time that shows you how long you've been rolling, you can do a white one, and you can also take it off entirely and just use this little red tally light. I didn't even realize how much I liked this feature until it popped up and I didn't even know what it was at first, and then I found myself really liking the ability to see how long I've been filming.
So at the end of the day, the question is, should you upgrade or grab the Action 5 Pro? And for somebody like me, guys, this is not even a question. Had I just seen the two mics being able to connect to it alone, that would have been enough for me to upgrade. You throw in on top of that the crazy long battery life and the fact that it has pro level dynamic range, I'm sold. Now, DJI actually only sent me one of these to do these tests for you guys and make this video, but for $349 or $449 if you're gonna grab the Adventure combo, I'm literally gonna grab another one just so my entire setup can get that upgrade. Now, had it not been for those three specific updates on this camera, I would have probably said the Action 4 is fine. You don't really need to upgrade, but When you're adding so many things that's gonna make my writing and filming that much easier, how am I not supposed to upgrade to that for that price? So guys, if this camera sounds right for you, I'm gonna have a link for you in the description down below. That is an affiliate link. If you guys use that link, we do get a small kickback, and that helps support the channel to make more videos for you guys just like this. Outro crew, after you like the video, let me know, are the features that they brought to the Action 5 Pro worth it for you to upgrade to it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm Chaseontwowheels. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.